Hey yo, welcome to our very first episode of Mann's Den. I'm your host, Henri Scott, and we are very excited to be launching our very first episode of this podcast where we're going to be talking about stuff like from the barbershop where women not around. We're going to be talking about fatherhood, mentorship, and so many other conversations we're going to be having. But today we have our very first guest. I'm excited to have him here today, Maxwell Brown. Maxwell, thank you for coming on our show today, Maxwell.
Oh, this nigga New York for real, you know? Sound like Rakim. I thought he was gonna start rapping. I'm happy to be here. You Philly and New York still beefing?
Nah,
all right,
man.
we good.
We good.
All right, let's go.
Only on the field we do though.
Okay, yeah, you don't want that smoke.
Nah.
After what happened last week.
Listen, Giants. Listen, you
Yo,
can't talk about Giants, Jets. All of us suck right
Y'all
now.
start crying after what happened last week.
Yeah, sure, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me something, Max. Tell me, who's Maxwell Brown?
That's long-winded. The short version is that I'm just a guy who figured out how to take everything that I've been through and make it a movement.
Okay.
Getting the max out of life highlights all my trials and tribulations and allows me to teach, educate, and mentor young men so that they don't walk down that same path.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. So Max, if you don't mind me asking, let's dig a little deeper now.
Right.
So tell us about things that you've been through.
So the short version is when I was 8 years old, my mom took me to the police station and left me there.
Okay.
And at 8 years old, my life lost all value. I ended up getting adopted by a guy who had a gas station across the street from where I lived at.
Okay.
First generation Italian.
Oh, wow.
He came to the police station and he got me and he took me home and he raised me. But the one thing that he couldn't do was take away the hurt and pain of the abandonment.
Wow.
And so at the age of 20, I ended up getting locked up for murder.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I spent 14 years in the penitentiary. It was during my incarceration where I stabbed a boy over a basketball game.
Okay.
Philly and Pittsburgh. I was in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh dudes don't like Philly dudes.
Okay.
Because we taking all their girls. But the girls come in the visiting room and they was choosing. Right? So they ain't like Philly dudes.
Okay.
And so they gave me 2 years in the hole.
Okay.
It was the best 2 years of my life because I walked into the cell and I looked into the mirror and I asked myself, who are you? And I ain't have an answer. And I spent the next 2 years writing about every experience I've been through. And I realized I was suffering from insecurity and low self-esteem.
Wow.
And that's where my program came from.
Oh, wow. Get the max out of life.
Yeah.
Got you. So, Max, tell us, is second chance necessary?
Is it necessary? Of course. Are people prepared for it?
Right.
And I think that's something that we have to take more ownership of, right? I mean, you can't come home. A lot of my brethren come home and say, "Well, I'm home now. Ain't nobody gonna give me a shot." Well, no, they're not gonna give you a shot because the last image a person has of you is the image of you getting arrested. So that's the first image that comes to their mind when they see you. So there isn't anything positive in that when they first see you, because the last image was you were being arrested for whatever. And so now you need to begin to redeem yourself by earning their trust, their respect, and showing them, not talking to them, but showing them that you're a different person and you're capable of living amongst folks the right way.
Got you. So what does preparation look like, though?
For me, it was just about understanding everything that I just said and working my way up. My first job when I came home was at Dietz and Watson.
Oh, wow.
I don't even eat meat, but I was stacking hams in the freezer for minimum wage.
Wow.
12 hours a day. Right?
Wow.
But I knew that I needed a job. I had to show my parole officer that, yo, I'm a changed person. I had to show my family that I'm a changed person, right? So I need the job. So I did this job for like 3 months.
Okay.
And it's funny, the manager said, yo, you don't belong here. So I said, well, give me another job then. So he had a friend who had a staffing company.
Okay.
And he sent me to the staffing company. And the staffing company hired me to work in-house. And so my job at the staffing company was to go out and recruit business. Well, we had this huge order where they had this pharmaceutical company up in the Northeast had to fill this order of like 1 million pills.
Wow.
So they needed to hire at least 100 temp workers.
Wow.
So somebody had told me about this National Comprehensive Center for Fathers that work with ex-offenders and so forth.
Okay.
And so I go down there, I meet with the Kofi Asante, who was the executive director. We interview some of their men. We end up hiring like 30 or 40 of their men. I go back to the staffing company. I promise you this is a true story. I go back to the staffing company. I say to them, I say, yo, I said, thanks for the opportunity, but I quit.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day I went back down to the fatherhood place and I sat in the waiting room. And Kofi came in and he was like, you need more people? I said, nah. I said, I'm going to let you hire me. And he was like, what?
Let you hire you.
I said, I'm going to let you give me a job because you need my help. And he laughed.
Yeah.
And went to his office. And for the next 2 weeks, every time he came into that building, I was sitting there. And so he called me into his office. He was like, yo, what do you want? I said, Mr. Asante, this is a beautiful place. I've never seen a business that was all black. And I think I got a lot to offer. I said, I want to work for you. So I said, matter of fact, just give me a desk and a phone. I work for free for 30 days. If you don't like my work, then we can part ways. So he looked at me, just how you looked at me just now.
Yeah, wow.
He looked at me. So he called his secretary. He said, yo, get this dude a desk and a phone where we can see him. Right? And after about 2 weeks, he called me in his office. He offered me $10,000 more than what my initial demand was. Right? And so it began to build. So I ended up, remember Odun Day?
Odun Day.
Yeah, you know, remember Odun Day? Yeah, Odun Day is this African day in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Where they have this big event, and they had it on the Parkway. I'm down at Odun Day, and I bump into this dude. So you're not going to know what I'm about to say, but your audience is. Okay. So I bump into this dude. I say, yo, can I talk to you a minute? And he was like, yeah. We talked for like 5 minutes. He was like, yo, give me your number. I got to go. And so he called me like a week later. He was like, yo, let's go to lunch. So we went out to lunch. We sat down. We talked for about an hour. He said, yeah, I want you to come work for me. I said, hold up. He said, what's up? I said, I'm on parole. He said, what are you on parole for? I said, I'm on parole for murder. He said, okay, I got one question for you. I said, what's that? He said, you done with the dumb shit? I said, yeah. He said, follow me. And he took me back into his office, introduced me to his secretary, and he told his secretary, from this day forward, I ain't going anywhere without this man.
Wow.
That was Michael Nutter 2 days after he announced he was running for mayor.
Really?
That's how getting the max out of life got started.
Okay.
So I ended up working for the mayor's office for 8 years.
Okay.
Because he got elected. He asked me what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a mentor program for black and brown boys.
Okay.
Because I thought our boys wasn't getting enough attention, right? And enough positive reinforcement. So I went, adopted a school. I adopted the whole 6th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Visit them twice a week. Had lunch with them twice a week. I brought in folks that looked like them, right? We gave them Christmas gifts. We took them on trips, right? Their grades and everything and behavior, attendance, everything shot through the roof.
Wow.
Right? So when the mayor left office, I then went and said, I'm going to start my own. I'm going to do my own thing.
Okay.
And that's how I started getting the max out of life.
So Max, so tell me something. Let's backtrack a little bit. So when exactly was your turning point in your life, like after you came home and, you know?
Nah, my turning point was before I came home.
Okay.
My turning point was, so when I was standing in front of the hearing examiner for the stabbing,
okay,
he said, do you have anything to say? And I said, yeah. I said, if this dude wouldn't have, and I stopped. Because when I got found guilty for the homicide, I was saying the same thing.
Wow.
5 years later, I'm still saying the same thing. And so who has the problem? The problem has to be me.
Okay.
I'm 100 and something miles away from home. I'm in a whole different environment. I'm in a whole different setting. So the problem has to be me. And I think a lot of times we can find a million reasons for why we do things. Right? It's always a reason. But is the reason legit?
Right. So you identified with
my insecurity and low self-esteem. It was simple. If I walked in the room and you looked at me, back then, I didn't think that you were looking at me for anything good. So I instantly had a beef with you. Like, why this nigga looking at me like that? Right?
Yeah.
Like, do you know, so you half the killings right now are taking place over perception, not reality.
No. Yeah.
Right? It's over perception. This nigga think I'm soft.
Yup.
He think I'm weak. Yeah, the problem we're dealing with today is too many of our boys, and women are gonna get mad when I say this, but too many of our boys are spending too much time around women.
They do.
And so they're developing the attitude and the character traits of the woman.
They do.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Right? I call God the mad scientist.
Okay. He is
because God made man and woman so totally opposite that each is carrying the strength of the other's weakness.
That's right. I believe that.
Women are emotional. Men are rational.
I believe that.
Right?
I believe that.
Now, let me ask you something. If your girl came to you right now, say, yo, my car broke, what you gonna say?
I'm gonna say get it fixed.
Let's get it fixed, right?
It.
If your girl came to you and said, yo, we ain't got no food in the house.
Go to the supermarket.
Let's go to the supermarket, right?
Yeah.
But if your girl came to you and said, boy, I just don't know how to deal with this feeling.
Like what?
What's the feeling?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't put a finger on it. Well, when you put a finger on it, let me know. And then we can deal with it.
Right.
Men can't relate early on to abstract things.
No, we can't.
Right? We need to be able to, it has to be something physical and concrete. Right? Whereas a woman is able to figure out, solve a problem while she's talking about it. Right? If she came to you and said, she see you moping around. What's wrong? Nothing. This nigga crazy. I know something wrong with him. It's my man. I know something wrong with him. Right? Now, you might have a problem, but you're not even going to talk about the problem until you find a solution.
That's right.
And then when you can't find the solution, you're going to ask for a solution. You don't want to hear, well, how do you feel? What's my feelings? No, what's the solution?
We don't want that emotional
right?
stuff.
We don't need that. And so it's important for our boys to get used to that male testosterone.
Yeah.
Right? And get comfortable with that. So, because mothers are nurturing.
Right.
Oh, baby, what's wrong?
They do that.
Right? That's what's wrong. Right? If she broke up with you right now, her girlfriends, they'd grab a bottle of wine, some popcorn, sit and talk about you for days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You got one time to come to me and say, me and my girl broke up. Okay, and? I don't know what to do. Well, we going to the strip club. You going? We doing something, dog.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna keep doing this.
All that moping around.
Right?
Stuff.
We ain't doing this.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, holler at me when you get your shit together. Right? Because that's how men operate.
Yeah, we don't do that.
And so it's important for boys to learn and appreciate that male testosterone. Right?
So why do you think it and feel as important though?
Because our boys, again, if they don't understand their makeup and how they operate, right? A boy can't handle emotion.
No.
When a boy gets emotional, if you punch a boy right now, the only thing in his mind is to punch back.
That's it.
When a boy gets hurt, he wants to hurt. Right? He don't want to hear, oh, it's going to be okay, baby.
Give me a Band-Aid.
No. I don't want to hear none of that. He wants to hurt. And so it's important for a boy to understand his makeup, right? How he operates, right? And that you don't have to get emotional about everything.
No.
Sports were made off of the outbursts of anger that come from men. Because when you get mad, you have a burst of anger that you have to do something with. Right?
Right.
That's why Ali knocked a lot of people out.
Of course he did.
Right? Tony Dorsett was over to run 100 yards.
Yep.
Right? Jordan was just able to get angry and just fly to the basket because it's that burst of anger. And it has to go somewhere. And you have to teach the boy how to harness that anger.
Right, and manage it and direct it.
Because once a boy gets mad, well, he's going to hurt and then worry about the consequences later.
Right.
So one of the first things I always tell my mentees is like, yo, I would never tell you not to get mad. If somebody did something to you to make you mad, you have a right to get mad.
Okay.
What I will say to you is, how do you deal with that anger? Because that's going to determine your success or failure. How do you process that anger? Right? The anger is natural. Right? I ain't never going to tell you, yo, don't get mad.
You feel it.
Right. I feel it. I've been angry.
Right.
But I'm going to ask you how you going to process that anger. Right? Because that's going to either keep you out of trouble or get you into trouble.
Of course it is.
Right?
So you have to know where to direct it to.
Right. That anger has to go somewhere. Right? And the more you try to suppress that anger, the angrier the person gets.
So you want them to feel emotion.
I want them. It's natural.
Yeah.
Anger is a natural. Anger is just as natural as happiness.
Sure it is.
Right?
Yeah.
And I need for my boys to understand, right? Because boys, we're always taught, don't cry. Man up. First thing a boy hear, man up. Nah, okay, why do you feel this way?
Right.
What's going on? Right? Let's figure this out. I had a situation, and this wasn't even my kid. Right? I had a situation where a kid gets angry, and I just happened to be at the school. And he like, yo, I'm gonna shoot this dude. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, over here. I'm gonna shoot him. I said, yeah. He said, yeah. I said, what you gonna do after that? He was like, what you mean? I said, well, okay, you gonna shoot him, but what you gonna do after that? He was like, nothing. I said, oh, you just gonna go home? You gonna take a shower, eat dinner? What are you gonna do after that? Because it ain't gonna be over.
No, it ain't gonna be over.
Right? Everybody gonna see you shoot this dude. You don't think somebody's gonna say, he just shot this dude? Like, what are you gonna do after that? Right? And after he calmed down and started to think about it, and then the next question I asked him, is he really worth shooting?
Right.
Is this situation really worth shooting over?
The consequence.
Right? No, just period. Is it really worth shooting?
Yeah.
Because so many times we, in urban communities,
Okay.
we go to the most violent thing first instead of last. And that's your ace card. Because once you threaten somebody with violence and they don't flinch, or they just as violent as you don't shot your load now.
That's it.
So there's nothing else for you to do now.
It's nothing.
Right? So you don't back yourself in the corner. So I always try to get my mentees to try to understand, right, that everything isn't life or death. It doesn't require the death penalty. I don't like the way the dude talking to me. Okay, and?
Right.
I'm gonna punch him in his face. Okay, and then you're gonna get suspended. And then your mom gonna have to come back to the school, and she gonna be mad at you, and you gonna miss out. No, I ain't soft. No, you're not.
No.
You a man.
That's right.
You're learning to be a man. And so it's just about where we come from in our community.
Okay.
Everything is always, I'm going to F you up.
That's what they say.
I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull my gun. I ain't no sucker. Because we're taught early on not to be a sucker. In my generation, if you had a problem with somebody, everybody went out there and they made you fight them.
Sure they did.
You got to rumble him.
Yeah.
Right? And ain't no running in the house. You running in the house for what? Get out there and rumble them. And so you're taught to be defensive, right, from the rip. Because the one thing no matter what, that you can always control is how people treat you.
Sure you can.
Right? And for a lot of folks, that one thing that they use is violence.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that you only gonna get so many times or so many chances to be violent, because then society has to remove you.
Sure they do.
Because you're not just a threat to yourself and your family and your friends, you're a threat to everybody.
Yeah, sure you are.
Right? And that threat, it's so scary and intimidating to folks that they gotta remove you. Right? And you thinking, the streets are gonna remember me. I'm a gangster. Well, yeah, you a gangster upstate now. Well, so go ahead. And the biggest gangsters are upstate. The guards is the biggest gangsters.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The guards is the biggest gangsters.
I never heard that before.
You ain't beating that gang.
Nah.
You ain't beating that gang.
Okay.
Right? Because ain't no guns in jail.
No.
Right? And it's 100 of them to one of you. So how you gonna beat that gang?
You ain't beating them odds at
Yeah,
all.
you're not beating that gang.
Nah.
right? And then they're going to bury you so deep in the hole, they're going to have to bag you sunlight. So that's a game you're not beating.
Nah. So Maxwell, quick question. So why, it's not, because you're talking a lot about, leading and guiding the young people. Why do you feel mentorship is so important?
Well, I mean, think about it. Who mentored you?
Well, I had a mentor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So then you just answered your own question.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, young boys, they're different than girls. Right? Young boys want to feel like that they're relevant and that they matter. And they're going to do whatever they need to do to get that feeling. Right? And so, if it's, let's take social media. Look at all the dumb stuff that they're doing on social media, right? All for likes, clicks, and so forth, right? Because there's not enough people in their space telling them, you're a dummy. What's wrong with you, dog? That's not how you do this, right? All attention ain't good attention, right? So it's important for young folks to develop, because this is what I tell my mentees when I first meet them.
Okay.
Every single one of you are liabilities. Every kid on the face of this earth is a liability.
Wow.
They need somebody to feed them, clothe them, provide roof over their head. They need somebody to make sure that they get from point A to point B. They can't do nothing by themselves. Nothing. You're a liability. High school mentorships and your parents are teaching you how to be an asset.
Yes.
Because once you walk across that stage and you grab that diploma and you walk on the other side of the stage, your whole life changes. And people see you differently.
They do.
Nobody feels sorry for you anymore because now you're looked at as a man.
Right.
Right? And so I tell my mentees the only difference between any of the kids in my program is who gave birth to them.
Wow.
What family situation they were born into.
Wow.
Some of them were born into a good situation. Some of them were born into struggling. Some of them were born into downright trash. Right? But it's not their fault.
No, it's not.
Now, they can change that situation if they do what it is that they're supposed to do and they have the support to want to change it.
Sure, yeah.
Right? That's where mentorship comes in.
Right.
Right? So that's where they get to see somebody that looks like them who's successful.
Okay.
Oh, hey, how you do that? By paying attention to school. Right? The other thing, and this is probably, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
Did you think when you were in school, the math they were teaching you was going to help you in life?
Nah.
Exactly. Did you think that the social studies and the American history they teach you in school was going to help you? And that's the problem. I have my boys not focus on what it is that they're teaching you, but the process in which how you're learning it. Math teaches you critical thinking.
It does.
Math teaches you there's more than one way to solve a problem. Stop worrying about the trigonometry and algebra and all that.
Hard. Yeah.
Right? No. Focus on the process in which you're learning it, because that's going to be how you solve problems.
Yep.
Right? English teaches you the basic fundamentals of reading and writing. School hours teaches you structure.
Yeah.
You have to be there a certain time, you get a lunch break, and then you go back to class and finish out the day.
Yeah.
Sound like a 9 to 5, don't it?
Sure enough, do to
Right?
me.
Your counselors is your HR people.
Yeah.
They're your problem solvers. Your principal and vice principal is the president and vice president of a company.
Yeah.
And your teachers, every single one of your teachers is going to be the type of person you're going to end up working for.
Wow.
So if you can't navigate through that, the only thing the biggest difference between school and the real world is that in school, you know who you with every day. You know your peers, right? In the real world, you could be working next to a serial killer and don't even know it.
No.
You could be working next to somebody who say, you know what? Today is the day I'm going to kill everybody because I'm tired of this, right? And not even know it. You just don't know the people you're working with. But in school, you know who it is. And when you graduate from high school, your first 3 to 4 years as an adult, you only taking what you learned in high school. You only doing what you did in high school. And so if you develop those bad habits, you're taking those bad habits out into the world with you your first 3 or 4 years, right? And then you start to change. Then you start to grow. But you're only doing what it is that you know.
Yeah. So Maxwell, listen, before we wrap up, Maxwell, so tell us, real quick, give us any final thoughts about mentorship. What should a young man look for in mentorship? In closing.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Right? It depends on the person. But you should always be, I always tell my mentees, I always tell my friends, you should either be the smartest person in the room or the dumbest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're mentoring because you have people looking up to you.
Right.
If you're the dumbest person in the room, you're being mentored.
Yeah.
So you should always be comfortable with being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't get this when I say this. But I tell my mentees, I tell people all the time, when I'm with my friends, I'm the poorest one.
Wow.
And I'm okay with that. Right? No, do you understand what I'm saying?
I say.
That means I got some rich ass friends. And they're grooming me. They're teaching me.
Right.
They're helping me grow.
Right.
Right? And I'm okay with that. I'm learning from them.
You gotta be okay with that.
Right? I'm learning from them.
Yeah.
I don't mind. There's a lot that I still have to learn. Right? So I'm okay with that. And then when I'm with my mentees, they're learning from me. Right? They're learning from me. I tell my mentees all the time, listen, at 14 and 15, I know what y'all chasing. Because I did it at 14 and 15. I want yams. Your whole life is about the yams. I need the yams. I get it. But you should not let that sidetrack you from doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing. We have real conversations. I have real conversations.
You got to.
Right? Because society is not going to have the same person that is saying we shouldn't be treating kids like that is saying where's all the real good men at?
Right.
Where all the real good men at?
That's what they're saying.
Right?
Yep.
So
Maxwell, okay, before we end, Maxwell, tell us, because we got to do this again. We got to definitely have you on again. Tell us about how do people, our viewers from Manns Den, how do they stay connected with you?
I don't know. Yo, I'm Googleable.
You Googleable?
That's funny, like, yo. So let me tell you. So I was home for like 3 years. And now I'm at the mayor's office, and I meet this girl, and I'm like, yo, wanna go out? She's like, yeah, let's go out, right? And so I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna tell this girl that I've been locked up, right? And so I go pick her up. We go to the restaurant, and guess what she said?
What she said?
She said, I Googled you.
Really?
What did it say? She said it said a lot.
Oh Lord.
I said, wow. So I'm good. No. My website is all one word, gettingthemaxoutoflife.com. On Instagram, it's just MaxwellBrown1. And then if you Google me, because I am Googleable. I am Googleable. If you Google Maxwell Brown, Philly, everything's going to come up.
Max, listen, thank you so much again, Max. And before we end, I just want to make this brief announcement. You know, you see I have my merch
because I'm taking some of this.
We got hoodies, we got jogging suits, we got hats, we got jackets, we got it all. So please do me a favor, hit me up, DM me, contact me, hit me on my social media, HenriScott_, or you can email me at HenriScottOffice@gmail.com. Until next time, we're going to be talking about fatherhood. We're going to be talking about mentorship. But our very next episode, we're going to talk about what is home ruler. What is home ruler? We're going to talk about. I saw that, Max.
So what is home ruler?
I saw you. But tune in for next time. Look on my social media. It'll be dropping soon. Thank you all for joining.